This is Seventh Generation Warfare, and I'm your current host, John Nelson. This episode is titled Childhood and Trust. I was going to title it It's Mine, but I decided for a more practical title. This episode is coming about due to an experience I had today where my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old were fighting over a tricycle that was gifted by my parents to my youngest child, the 2-year-old, and they both wanted to play with it, and there was a lot of arguing, a lot of saying it's mine, no, actually it's mine, and this went on for a very very long time, and I let them argue it out as much was reasonable until they were willing to listen to a third party's logic on the situation. And how I handle this situation, I think, is kind of unique, so I am sharing it with you. What my parents would have done if I was fighting with my siblings in this sort of situation when I was a kid is they would make a rule and they would say, if you don't like it, well, you can change the rules when you have your own house. What I'm saying, I have the power, I'm the arbiter, I'm setting down the law. Tough for you. Change it when you become a family man for yourself. And so, in fact, I am changing it. I'm in a sense still the arbiter of the rules, but I am articulating it in a much better way that will help my children understand why the decisions happen the way they do. And in order to do this, I have to explain trust law. So if you are not familiar with trusts in law, there's a thing you can do. A person, a grantor, can put money or material into a trust. And there are three parts of a trust: the grantor or trustor, the trustee, and then the beneficiary. The beneficiary is the person who receives the benefit from the money or objects or whatever is held in trust. The grantor is the person giving it, but they're not directly handing it over to the beneficiary. They are giving it to a trustee to manage with certain stipulations, whatever they might so choose. And the rules around trusts can be far and wide, but it's a pretty well accepted practice of somebody's giving something for somebody to manage on somebody else's behalf. And so when it comes to gifts, such as the tricycle here that my kids were fighting over, or any gifts I give to family and friends, or gifts that my children receive, I am starting to articulate to all the people I'd give gifts to and all the people who would give gifts to my children to do so in a trust format. So in this case, my parents gave the tricycle. They are the grantor. I am the trustee to manage the tricycle. And it was actually my youngest son who was given to. He was the beneficiary. So I am managing that tricycle for his benefit. And when I give gifts to other people, I will put their parents as the trustee to manage whatever it is I'm giving them, because I'm putting it into their house and there's going to be certain rules, and the adult is going to be more rational in handling any conflict or issues that might arise from whatever the gift is. So in the specific situation with my kids and the tricycle, I first made clear to my older son that it was, in fact, a gift given to my youngest son. And we got him to calm down. He had some complaints about how or why this was or why it was fair. But I told him that I could make the situation right for him. But then for my youngest son, I explained trust law to him. He's 2 years old. and I told him that as long as the gift is given inside of our house. I am the trustee responsible for managing it for his benefit. And since in this instance the his claim of ownership over this bicycle was causing him duress, stress, fighting with his brother, and who knows, what kind of other turmoil that could lead to between him and his brother, I told him I would exercise the right to remove it if I needed to. And because I think under any trust law, that would be acceptable to remove assets from the beneficiary if they are using them for self-destructive ends. And I explained to him that I could remove it, or instead he could learn to share with it, or benefit to share. That we could take turns, that there are other ways that we could solve the problem so that he could still benefit from the tricycle, and his older brother could also get some enjoyment out of it too. And it worked. And for a little bit in the morning, we set timer so that they'd each take turns, and later in the day, he just would willingly give it up to his older brother, and it all worked itself out. So that's just one story about one toy. How might a trust come into effect in other aspects of somebody's childhood? Well, one thing that my children receive a lot of as a gift is money. And I treat that as if I am the trustee handling that money for them. I would invest it if I saw fit. What I do with their money is not necessarily for this video, but there may become a time where, if I as a trustee am looking to invest in real estate, that I might take their funds and invest it into the real estate with me. Not to use their money for my benefit, but to use their money for their benefit. So, it would not, no one would blink an eye if you took your kid's money and invested it into some sort of mutual fund or into the stock market in some sort of way. But I feel like people would blink an eye if I just told them that, yeah, I took my kid's savings and I bought a house with it. Not that they have enough to buy a house, but so with doing that, they would become a shareholder of the house. I would have to keep account of their equity in the house. And at the age of 18 or whatever is appropriate for them to be handed over the contents of the trust, should they decide to be bought out, I would give them the opportunity to buy them out of the real estate. So that's something I am looking to potentially do, as it will lessen the load for me in investing in real estate. That's something I'm very capable of investing in. I have done it in the past. I work construction for my job, and so that is where the potential for me to make the best profits and gains financially without jeopardizing any of my values is in real estate. And so I might take my children's assets that are in trust to invest in real estate along with me. But before we close out on this concept, I hope this makes sense. It's just better articulating how we should treat our kids' belongings throughout their childhood and communicate to them in a much more clear, thought out way. Like, the trust law and everything is very clear, that it's been going on for centuries, and the concept is very easily understood. You don't need to do what my parents did and just say, tough, it's the rule of the house. I'm the big strong man. If you don't like it, leave, or if you don't like it, you can change it when you get older. There is a process in place already, and it's called trusts. But I'd like to make the point that, in essence, the child's whole childhood is entrusted to you. And this is kind of interesting perspective shift of, you could say that you are the grantor, you and your wife or your spouse are the grantor, or a divine power is the grantor that gifted this child to you, and you are the trustee put in the position of responsibility to see to it that this child reaches a mature age in one piece, and therefore can enjoy their life beyond that. They can be the beneficiary of their life, but in order to do that, they need the trustee, you as a parent, to see to it that they get to adulthood. And so take your responsibilities as a trustee very seriously, and also I would say, don't just stop with treating your own children as the beneficiary and you as the trustee. Grant yourself the ability to be the trustee for your lineage all the way down the line. And that's what seventh generation warfare is about, is thinking multiple generations. How do you benefit generation after generation, generations you might not ever meet? So I hope this video was interesting. It was titled Childhood in Trust. This is 7th Generation Warfare. I'm your current host, John Nelson. Thank you and have a good night.